Verbal or life.
The migrants are eating the cats and geese. This is crazy. In this video, we're going to take a look at JD Vance going on mainstream media and battling it out with them. The man was a good pick. Trump knows what he's doing. Welcome to Verbal Online. My name is Noel, and I want to take a look at this JD Vance clip because the man knows how to present himself. Let's take a look.
We are 51 days from the election, and together with their running mates, Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump are focusing on the states that will decide the next president, with the race apparently deadlocked after what could be the only Harris-Trump debate. But Donald Trump is also doubling down on a baseless claim that he made at the debate, that Haitian immigrants in Springfield, Ohio, are eating people's pets. Local officials and the state's Republican governor say
they're eating the cats and geese, man.
There's absolutely no evidence of that claim, and they are warning it is actually hurting their city. Springfield, Ohio is facing a fourth day of threats over the claims that have forced a college, hospitals, and schools to lock down.
So from the claims, now they got threats of bombs everywhere. The media, man, it's just insane, the stuff they bring out to the news.
While Springfield police say they received 2 calls about Proud Boys marching through the city. Here's how
what they got to do with Donald Trump.
Donald Trump responded to the controversy over Haitians who, I want to note, are in the U.S. legally.
I don't know what happened with the bomb threats. I know that it's been taken over by illegal migrants, and that's a terrible thing that happened. Springfield was this beautiful town, and now they're going through hell.
Here with me now is Republican Vice Presidential nominee JD Vance, who represents Ohio in the U.S. Senate. Thank you for being here, sir. So the mayor of Springfield, Ohio, Rob Rue, said, quote, all these federal politicians that have negatively spun our city, they need to know they're hurting our city. And it was their words that did it.
It's like hurting the city with words. They don't mention the fact that 20,000 Haitians may be hurting the city because we're bringing in so many people. And now we got to accommodate for them.
Before Donald Trump talked about eating dogs and cats on a debate stage, it was you, Senator, who first elevated this baseless rumor. These are your constituents. So why are you putting them at risk by continuing to spread claims about Haitian immigrants, despite officials in your state saying that there's no evidence and pleading for you to stop?
Let's talk about it.
Well, Dana, first of all, what's putting the residents of Springfield at risk, which was a town completely ignored by the American media until Donald Trump and I started surfacing some of these concerns, is that they can't afford housing. They can't afford health care. The schools have been overwhelmed. The hospitals have been overwhelmed. And they're overwhelmed because Kamala Harris allowed 20,000 Haitian migrants to get dropped into a small Ohio town of about 40,000 people, and it's completely overwhelmed the services. Now, you ask, why have I talked about some of the things that I've been talking about? Let me just say this. My constituents have brought approximately a dozen separate concerns to me. 10 of them are verifiable and confirmable, and a couple of them I talk about because my constituents are telling me firsthand that they're seeing these things. So I have 2 options, Dana. I could ignore them, which is what the American media has done for years to this community, or I can actually talk about what people are telling me. And of course, many of the things that the media says are completely baseless have since been confirmed. For example, I was told, Dana, that by the American media, that it was baseless that migrants were capturing the geese from the local park pond and eating them. And yet there are 911 calls from well before this ever became a viral sensation of people complaining about that exact thing happening. So my attitude is listen to my constituents. Sometimes they're going to say things that people don't like, but they're saying things that people don't like because their town has been overwhelmed, and it's my job to try to fight for them and to protect them. Kamala Harris opened the border, and now these people are suffering. That's what I'm focused on, Dana.
Yeah. You see what I'm saying? Now, Dana, being the professional, is going to fact check my man JD Vance. Let's see what she says.
Senator, I have to go through several things that you just said. First of all, the Clark County Sheriff and the Ohio Department of Natural Resources reviewed 11 months of 911 calls. They only identified 2 instances of people alleging Haitians were taking geese out of parks. They found 0 evidence to substantiate those claims. Also, other evidence that you have talked about, even you've retweeted alleged evidence, are unsourced social media videos from a different city, apparently no connection to Haitians. And this is from a conservative activist who offered a $5,000 reward for such things. And then going just backly to the schools and the hospitals and so forth being overwhelmed, nobody is disputing that the town of Springfield, Ohio needs help. But you're not just a bystander, you're the senator from Ohio. So instead of saying things that are wrong and actually causing the hospitals, the schools, the government buildings to be evacuated because of bomb threats, because of the cats and dogs thing, why not actually be constructive in helping to better integrate them into the community? Because there are a lot of employers there who say that the Haitian workers are helping fill jobs that they need desperately filled.
JD Vance is a patient man. He just waits to speak. And when he speaks, slowly and patiently, making sure you hear every single word he says. Check it out.
Dana, first of all, let me just respond to a couple of things that you said, but I want to start with something you said, which I think is frankly disgusting and is more appropriate for a Democratic propagandist than it is for an American journalist. There is nothing that I have said that has led to threats against these hospitals. These hospitals, the bomb threats and so forth, it's disgusting. The violence is disgusting. We condemn it. We condemn all violence.
Senator, this happened after you and President Trump were on the debate stage, said that cats and dogs were being eaten.
You asked a question, Dana, and I'm going to go ahead and answer it. What we have said is that this town has suffered terribly under the policies of Kamala Harris. Now, you just accused me of inciting violence against the community when all that I've done is surface the complaints of my constituents, people who are suffering because of Kamala Harris's policies. Are we not allowed to talk about these problems because some psychopaths are threatening violence? We can condemn the violence on the one hand, but also talk about the terrible consequences of Kamala Harris's open border on the other hand. Now, let me just fact check a couple of other things that you said, Dana, because it's important. You said that all of these migrants are in the country legally. They're in the country through what's called temporary protective status.
Right.
That is when Kamala Harris waved a magic amnesty wand, taking people and giving them legal status. That is not to say that they're here legally. That is a terrible indictment of her amnesty policies that have further opened the border and further caused terrible migration into this country.
You might not agree with the policy, and obviously you don't, which is totally fair and legitimate. There are policy disagreements all the time, but the fact is it is the law because President Biden and Vice President Harris are. But I don't want to frankly go down this conversation about policy,
Dana,
because
you made a point.
Ooh.
You don't. I agree. You don't want to talk about policy.
No,
Dana,
what I want to talk about
instead of about the fact,
Senator,
that
it was
Harris,
your
Dana,
distraction.
granted amnesty.
You were the one who started talking about eating dogs and cats.
Level.
You were the one who brought this up. The president said it to 60 million people.
Cats, and I talked about it because you were ignoring this community. My constituents talked about it.
Have you been to
my
Springfield?
Responsibility to surface their concerns when the American media
Have you been to
it.
Springfield?
Dana, I've been to Springfield probably 100 times in my life.
How about
I've
recently,
taken my children
since
to
you've
get
heard
ice
this?
cream at Young's Jersey Dairy.
Have you heard recently since you've gotten these calls?
Have I been in the last 4 days?
No,
I'm
talking
talking about
in
the last 4 days, but I've
since
talked
you've
to a lot
gotten
of
these
people
calls
in
from the
Springfield,
constituents.
Dana, and they're telling me this stuff is happening. Dana, would you like to ask me questions and then let me answer them, or would you like to debate me on these topics? I noticed that when you had Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, you gave them multiple choice answers to the questions that you asked, and you allowed them to answer the questions. I'm happy to be here to talk about policy, but if you're going to interrupt me every single time that I open my mouth, then why am I even doing this?
Boom! JD Vance is hitting her hard. What are you doing? Don't even let me talk. You think you're slick. One at a time. Don't talk over me, girl.
So please ask a question, and I'd ask you to be polite enough to let me answer it.
Yes, I am. And I think that if Kamala Harris and Tim Walz were making unsubstantiated claims that had racist undertones about people eating dogs and cats, and they didn't answer the questions about that, then.
Eating pets. Come on now. We got to do something about it. The people are talking. All right. Not other propaganda, no more media. It's the people talking.
I would have similar interactions with them. As you know, I am very grateful that you come on the show, as I am for other Republicans. But this is something that you're hearing from constituents. I did a lot of reporting. I talked to people in Ohio over the weekend, and they're really worried about these claims. The policies, yes, I am agreeing with you that what I heard is that there is concern that these migrants, there's a lot of them, and the integration isn't being done fast enough and well enough. And that's a totally legitimate conversation. But there are other conversations that are happening.
JD Vance, you just heard him, man. Letting her know to stop debating me and just ask questions and listen one at a time. We both can talk at the same time. This is insane. Got to give that man props. No wonder Trump picked him. Because at the end of the day, okay, yeah, the media is not running the stories. It's not on TV. Professionals like Dana Bash is not talking about it, but the people are talking about it. Now with social media, all you need is a cell phone. A cell phone and to put your story online. All right. Some people call the police. They put it online that they were eating geese and hurting other animals. So then it was true.
Stations that are happening.
Let me see the other video.
That's a totally legitimate. Aiden Clark, who is an 11-year-old boy who was killed in Springfield last year. It was a car accident involving a Haitian immigrant. You said that he was murdered. His father said that's not true. It was an accident. Here's what he said to you.
Politicians, Bernie Moreno, Chip Roy, JD Vance, and Donald Trump. They have spoken my son's name and used his death for political gain. This needs to stop now. They are not allowed, nor have they ever been allowed to mention Aiden Clark from Springfield, Ohio. I will listen to them one more time to hear their apologies.
Senator, he's asking for you to apologize. Will you?
Dana, first of all, my heart goes out to the Clark family, and I don't bring their son's name up because they've clearly expressed a preference for politicians to not bring their son's name up. I wish them all the best. I can't believe what kind of a tragedy they've experienced, but I'm still going to keep on talking about what the migrants have done to Springfield, Ohio, and what Kamala Harris's open border has done to Springfield, Ohio. And Dana, I think this illustrates the entire contrast between how we're trying to go about this debate and how a lot of the Democrats are trying to go about this debate. They're talking about 12 Proud Boys marching in Springfield, Ohio. They're talking about the frankly fake debunkings of a lot of these stories that are out there. I'm talking to my constituents and I'm hearing terrible things about what's going on in Springfield, and Kamala Harris's open border policies have caused these problems. The hospitals are overwhelmed, Dana. The schools are overwhelmed. The local services are completely overwhelmed. You have people who can't afford housing. Homelessness has gone up. Murders are up by 81% because of what Kamala Harris has allowed to happen to this small community. I'm going to keep on talking about that. Now, of course, we can criticize violence. We can also still talk about the problems that are happening in Springfield, and we should be able to do both those things simultaneously, Dana.
Whoa.
Just once and for all, you again started this in part by saying that, at which Donald Trump repeated on the debate stage, that, and he didn't say anything about the policies that you're talking about. He just said Haitians are eating dogs and cats. Can you affirmatively say now that that is a rumor that has no basis with evidence?
He said constituents claimed that they were eating geese, and it was the problems. Let's see what JD Vance says.
Dana, the evidence is the firsthand account of my constituents who are telling me that this happened. And by the way, I've been trying to talk about the problems in Springfield for months, and the American media ignored it. There was a congressional hearing just last week of angel moms who lost children because Kamala Harris let criminal migrants into this country who then murdered their children. The American media totally ignored this stuff until Donald Trump and I started talking about cat memes. If I have to,
But it
if
wasn't
I have
just a
to
meme,
create stories so that the American media actually pays attention to the suffering of the American people, then that's what I'm going to do, Dana, because you guys are completely letting Kamala Harris coast. You had one interview with her. You talk about pushing back against me, Dana. You didn't push back against the fact that she cast the deciding vote on the Inflation Reduction Act, which is why a lot of Americans can't afford food and housing.
You just said that you're creating a story.
Public policy.
What? Talk about it.
Sir, you just said that you're creating the story.
What's that, Dana?
You just said that this is a story that you created. So the eating dogs and cats thing is not accurate.
Dana, it comes from firsthand accounts from my constituents. I say that we're creating a story, meaning we're creating the American media focusing on it. I didn't create 20,000 illegal migrants coming into Springfield thanks to Kamala Harris's policies. Her policies did that, but yes, we created the actual focus that allowed the American media to talk about this story and the suffering caused by Kamala Harris's policies.
Do you condemn the Proud Boys, even if it's just 12, even if it's just one marching in Springfield?
Dumb question.
Dana, I condemn all white supremacists. I'm obviously not. I'm married to a non-white person. I don't like these people, but I think that we have to keep our focus not on 12 marchers going down the street, but on the fact that thousands of residents have had their lives destroyed by Kamala Harris's policy.
Yeah.
I find this very unusual, Dana, that the American media is more interested in a bunch of losers marching down the street than they are in the fact that Kamala Harris has made these people's lives worse. I'm not talking about 12 Proud Boys. I'm talking about 40,000 residents, 40,000 constituents of mine, many of whom can't afford housing and food because of Kamala Harris's open border. That is what I want to focus the media's attention on. We're going to keep on doing it because I think the American people deserve a government that puts their interests first. Can I make just one more final point about this, Dana?
Yes, please.
You've heard a lot of the media focusing on every possible distraction from the story in Springfield. You've heard them focus on these Proud Boys marches. You've heard just in this interview, Dana, the suggestion that because some psychopath is calling it a bomb threat, somehow we have to then ignore 40,000 Springfieldians who are having their lives worsened by Kamala Harris's policies. Well, what is the implication, Dana? I actually love to have this conversation right now live on air.
Right.
What is the implication when you say you calling out these problems has caused a bomb threat? You accused me of causing a bomb threat. Doesn't that mean you should shut up about the residents of Springfield? Don't you realize you're engaged in basic propaganda to silence the concerns of American citizens?
I was quoting the actual mayor of Springfield, Ohio, begging after the bomb threats, begging federal officials, to please stop putting
he must be a Democrat.
Negative attention on his city. And I'm not talking about the policies. I'm not talking about the very real challenges that Springfield has. I'm talking about baseless rumors about Haitians eating dogs and cats. And that, after that was said on a debate stage, that is when these bomb threats started. And that is a fact. Senator, I just want to move on. I have two other quick issues separate from this that I want to talk to you about.
Dana,
go ahead.
Again,
please go ahead.
I think this is actually an important conversation.
Okay.
Look, the Springfield mayor, he's dealing with a lot of terrible things. I certainly sympathize with the guy, and we're going to try to help him out. But he did not accuse me of inciting a bomb threat. He just didn't. And if we're going to take the firsthand accounts of people who are on the ground in Springfield, why don't you bring on some of the people on your program who say that the migrants are eating their pets? You're applying a double standard here. You're saying if one person accuses JD Vance, I'm going to take that person's word as the gospel truth, even if you misrepresent it. If you have another person who's saying they're eating the cats, you're going to completely ignore them, attack them, silence them, and harass them. That double standard is why the people don't trust the media and why we're not talking about public policy 51 days out from a presidential election.
Okay. If you have somebody you want to tell us about who has proof that somebody ate their cat, of course, we want to hear that. We certainly have had no evidence that that is actually something that happened. And I just want to say, I have not accused you of anything. I am quoting the mayor who said, after these bomb threats, federal politicians are negatively spinning our city. They need to know they are hurting our city. It was their words that did it. Okay, that I'm quoting him, and it seems to be a cause
Spin the block.
and effect.
Roll the tape. You just accused me of inciting a bomb threat. There's no evidence of this. I condemn violence and threats of violence. We should be able to do that and also still talk about what's going on in Springfield.
I'm glad to hear that you condemn it. That is very important. We had a lot of other issues to get to, but I really hope that you do come back so we can talk about other issues. Senator, thank you so much.
JD Vance going up
Thanks,
against
Dana.
JD Vance going up against the media, because nowadays, if you're a Republican, you're going up against the left-wing media, which is going to defend everything the Democrats do and try to paint out the Republicans as white supremacists and as the evil ones who are causing all these problems. But hey, if you enjoyed this video, my name is Noel, battling MS. Still been able to move my fingers and talk here at verbalonlife. If you haven't done so, go ahead and hit the like button. So like that, we'll get the word out to more and more people, and we will help this channel grow. All right. Shout out to my new subscribers. I'm up to 69. Doing good. You know, just got to stay positive. But yeah, the left-wing media or the regular media, they are losing their narrative. That's it. They have full control of the narrative. But now with other commentators and other social media accounts, they just cannot keep up with it. At the end of the day, we got to do our best to get, I'll be honest, to get Trump to win, because this media nonsense got to stop. And we got to hear the truth. But what can I say? Hey, like I said, see you guys in the next video. Peace.
Verbalonlife.
You know, I haven't been online for a couple of days because I was getting over a flu. I was sick. So I was taking NyQuil and relaxing. I'm here in the basement. You know how hard it is to walk down the stairs? Yes, I can still walk. I'm actually battling PPMS, which is like, I don't get any attacks, but I just lose functions little by little. So I can still walk, I can still move my hands, still move my fingers, still talk. So let's make use of those things, because it's one of those things that when you lose it, that's when you figure out how much you miss it. You miss it after you lose it. So before I lose any of my functions, let me just say, hey, I'm here with you guys. Comment down below. Let me know what you think. This is actually my way of battling MS. Coming online and talking as much as possible, because the more you talk, the better. You know, even though, what am I? I'm an introvert, so it's a little difficult to get me to talk. But now, hey, here we go. Let's talk about it. One thing that people are afraid to say, so I'm going to just say it. Trump 2024. Let's lose fear and let's talk about it, because one day we won't be able to talk. All right? My college girlfriend used to say a lot. I forgot what the saying is. You're going to regret it when you lose it. You're going to regret what you have when you lose it. And that's what she said right before breaking up with me. Or a few months before breaking up with me. Like, yo, you're about to lose me. That's when you're going to realize what you had. So, all right. Setting up a podcast is not easy. What else I wanted to say about that JD Vance interview? I think he did great. It actually backfired, the fact that he said they're eating the cats and dogs. Now more and more people are talking about it, and more news is coming up, not on regular media, but on social media, on TikTok, and all the other YouTubers are talking about it, and it's actually not backfiring on Trump. I don't think anything he does backfires on him. It only makes him better and bigger, better and better, bigger and bigger. So there's nothing you can really do. There might be another debate. Ever since Trump said there won't be another debate, that's when Kamala Harris says, I want a debate. You see what she's trying to do right there? Trying to be slick, like she's the one pushing forward and Trump is not. Only because she realized that Trump is not pushing forward. It's crazy. And I hate the fact that people are falling for it. The mind trick. Unfortunately, people just got to let go of their team and take a look at the whole picture of what's going on. This ain't your parents' Democratic Party. It'll be nice if when the election comes and Harris gets 23% of the votes, Donald Trump gets 70, but then he still loses. Then it's like, what? How? Oh, mail-in ballot. At the box office, this man blew her out, but through mailing, people from other country mailed in, and Harris won. And we can't argue with the truth. We can't argue with the numbers. That'll be phenomenal. Okay. What else can I say? Let me pick up my Trump shirt. All right. So I'm going to cut this video as much as possible. You know what the trick to making a YouTube is just to talk. To make it a podcast, it's just to talk about it because people want to hear what you're saying, what you got to say. What's your opinion? And my opinion is my number one way to battle MS is to be about it, to talk, because it's something that you're losing little by little. I almost feel like this is like ALS, but not really. But if it gets that bad, that will be sad. That would be scary as hell. You know? Now, I put up a video today and I got 1 subscriber out of it. So thank you, whoever signed up. But right now, all I really want is likes. If you enjoy the content of this video, go ahead and give it a like. JD Vance was a good pick. He's way better than Mike Pence because JD Vance knows how to speak clearly. He knows how to connect with people and how to, number one thing, how to argue mainstream media. That is very, very difficult to do. Mike Pence doesn't know how to do it, didn't know how to do it. But JD Vance knows how to step it up, one-on-one fight with anybody. And that's a difficult skill to have. And not have to be apologetic about the president, about Trump. He actually goes out there and says, yeah, that makes sense what Trump said. Yes, he's talking about the constituents are talking about losing their pet because it's true. You know, you hear a lot of these constituents complaining about it. So I am surprised that Trump gets all this information. Like, whoa, he gets all of this. He knows about in Colorado, how the Venezuelan migrant gang are just running up in buildings and taking over apartments. Trump knows about that. Eating the geese, Trump knows about that. Even the cats and dogs, Trump knows about that. Man, the man is on point. He is in the right game. And he's going to win no matter what. All right, let me download this video, cut it up, and put it on the other platform. Let's see if we go anywhere with this. Yeah, you know, thinking on my feet, or not on my feet, but sitting down here thinking, it's not that easy because my legs hurt just sitting down here. Let me focus on what I need to focus on. What else is on the news? All right, let me go check out the news, see what's going on. SpaceX. Oh, yeah. So Elon Musk has some people do the moonwalk. They went out on a spaceship. They came back today, Friday. Oh, today's Saturday. They came back yesterday and landed. But it just seems like we're far, far from going to Mars. It's not even anywhere close. Probably like another 10 years. You know, but it's nice that Elon Musk says in 4 years we're going to go. Do you really think you're going to go or not? I would sign up. Definitely. I'll be walking up there. But yeah, I have to say it's going to be another 10 years, even though he says 4. And actually, if Trump goes into office, it'll be way, way much quicker because Elon Musk is going to be in charge of the government paperwork. Elon Musk says that it takes longer to get the paperwork approved than it does to create a spaceship. That's insane. Rocket science is faster than actually the paperwork needed to get a rocket up in the air. Think about that. Hope I made some sense. What else should I say? But we're talking about a genius, Elon Musk. He said a nice joke. Here, let me try to say this joke that Elon said. Elon said that he was going to go up to a woman and going to say, "Do you want to see my cock?" And then the lady was going to say, "What?" "Sure, let me see your cock." And then we're going to pull out, he want to reach into his pants and pull out an actual toy cock that he had. And then the girl was going to say, "Wow, such a tiny cock. Do you want to?" And then the lady pulled out a cat, and the cat was wet. And she took the cat and showed it to Elon and said, "Do you want to pet my wet pussy?" And I don't know where Elon was going with this joke, but it would have been funny on Saturday Night Live. Because, like, so inappropriate, but it would have been hilarious. With that said, see you guys in the next video. Peace.
Verbal or life.
That is so random to end the stream in that stupid joke, Elon Musk joke. But it all got to end anyway. You don't appreciate it until you lose it. You don't appreciate it until you lose it. Shout out to my girl.